In today's episode, we're going to talk about tariffs, Targaryen watches, and the aftermath of watches and wonders. So let's get started. Hi everyone, my name is Jenny, and I know from my own experience how hard it is to keep up with the news and watch news especially. So to make life easier for you, I filter through all the blogs and sites to bring you the most important watch stories and releases of the past couple of days. So lean back, turn up the volume, and get updated. Okay, we first have to address the kind of elephant in the room, and I want to have to keep this sort of short because this is still a developing situation and story. So we see updates about this every hour. But just last week, right at the start of Watches and Wonders, the biggest watch fair in the world, the US administration signaled it might impose a 31% tariff on Swiss watch imports into the United States that are now in effect as of Wednesday, which is when I'm recording this. I'm based here in Germany. Obviously, this came as a big surprise since the US is one of the largest markets for luxury watches, and a 31% tariff can cause all kinds of bad impacts like significant price increases for American buyers because affected brands and retailer have to somehow absorb the cost. For example, when they source their movements from Switzerland, even though they assemble in America, and just pass it on to consumers. So this could lead to reduced demand because simply watches get too expensive overall to buy for most people, and overall sales and revenues drop. And we can already kind of see the market reacting in response by halting or pausing productions to kind of gauge the situations. We've heard that from a few brands, but you can also read about brands and watch associations such as the Federation of the Swiss Watch Industry, who are trying to communicate with both Swiss and US officials to kind of advocate against the measures so they can kind of carve out exceptions and further details in hope to resolve the dispute before those tariffs take like full effect. This whole thing is most certainly going to affect the entire watch industry in one way or the other, and I want to implore everyone to, if you decide to leave a comment about this, keep it civil and not turn this into some crazy political debate. I'm not the biggest fan of political topics on this channel. It's about watches, but I think this is still a very important piece of news because I think this is going to affect the hobby in a pretty big way, potentially. There was also one of the founders of VAER watches in the comments, and he gave a very detailed and interesting reply on the news article, from which I want to highlight some things he said, because it is something I myself wasn't aware of, since I am not a watch manufacturer, and I'm also not from the US. So he mentions that watches are tariffed and taxed in a special way in the US because their movements, for example, and it doesn't necessarily matter if they have been assembled elsewhere. I'm just going to read you what he said specifically. So he goes to say, from a manufacturing perspective, watches are uniquely tariffed, with the tariff rate set as the origin of the movement. So in this example, if a watch is fully manufactured in China, but the movement origin is Swiss, then the entire timepiece is essentially transformed into a Swiss watch. In this context, for our brand and many of the other independent brands that rely on Japanese Miyota movements, the biggest impact to our immediate bottom line is actually the new Japan tariffs. So he goes on with more very interesting things, as you can, just scroll down on that article and read it in the comments down below if you want. So yeah, I know this isn't a super happy topic, but definitely something that has the potential to hugely affect the industry of our hobby. So if that is something you would like to know more about, let me know in the comments down below. And moving on, since I've already touched on it, I'm now able to give you a quick recap of this year's biggest watch fair, which has now ended on the 7th of April. I went to visit on the last public day, which was the 7th of April. It was a Monday, and I have some really cool statistics that have been sent to me for you guys. According to the Watches and Wonders Geneva Foundation, this year's Watches and Wonders reached a record attendance with over 55,000 visitors throughout the week, which is an increase of 12% compared to last year's, with over 23,000 tickets sold on the public days, which is an increase of 21% of people. So overall, it appears to be an overall success for this year. Personally, I have some, let me say, mixed reviews regarding the whole thing. So if you want to listen to that, you can stay tuned, or if you want to skip that, you could just skip to the next chapter on the timeline down here. So like I said, we went on Monday, and I was hoping for it to be less busy since this was the last day, and I wanted to see how that will affect the crowd and the fair. And and I thought things would have cooled down by now, but actually it was more busy on that day than on the Saturday last year. There were queues pretty much everywhere at most brands, and you could tell that the staff at the booths were visibly stressed out by that, and that was the last day, so I guess everything got mixed together. It was cool to see that some brands have changed up their booth designs in comparison to last year. For example, Ulysse Nardin, that booth looked different, or IWC, for example. Some remained the same. Patek Philippe, for example, looks the same, or Rolex and Tudor are looking in the same. Goodies remain pretty much the same too. You get your usual tote bags with most brands and, you know, the catalog. I was very pleasantly surprised to see that the Rolex queue moved very swiftly, very fast. It was like 5 minutes max. And you could actually touch the novelties of this year, and they were not, you know, hidden behind glass or anything. They also invited us into like a little theater where you could watch like a 4-minute clip that was promoting the Land Dweller, which was very nice. They had the AC on, so it was nice and cool. And it smelled very nice in there too. A real bummer was Tudor though. Even though the fair actually closes at 5 p.m, they stopped letting people in at, it was like 3:45 or something, stating that they don't have any more of their goodies or like tote bags to give out, so they will just cut off the queue altogether, which I think is totally silly. I mean, you could just tell people that, yeah, sorry, we are running out of tote bags, but you can still check out, you know, the exhibition instead of just telling them F off, basically. Because we asked 2 times, like, hey, can we, like, it's not even 4 yet, can we stay in line and, you know, look at the watches? And they were like, no. Then I'm not trying to slag off anyone. It was just, you know, it wasn't the nicest experience. Then also with Bulgari, I was so excited to see the new Serpenti Tubogas mechanical movement. And I had to ask like 4 or 5 people there. They had no idea what I was asking for until like one person kind of got the hint. It's like, oh yeah, wait a second, I think we got it here. But then they only had the new automatic, I think it's called Lady Solo Tempo movement in the Seduttori cases, and I really wanted to see it in the Serpenti Tubogas. I mean, they have announced this watch like weeks ago, and I was hoping to, you know, get my hands on this or at least look at it at Watches and Wonders, and they just did not have it, which was such a letdown. But yeah, all in all, with those things, I think the best experience is always the people that you meet. That is the most fun. It was so for me. Everyone who came up to me and said hi, thank you so much. I've really appreciated it. It was so lovely meeting you. And yeah, it was okay this year. I don't know. I kind of expected more. But yeah, maybe it was just a bit too busy for my personal taste. But yeah, that is that. Let's head over to new releases. Well, there has been a bunch of new releases, all thanks to, you know, Watches and Wonders. And now you have all these hands-on videos and blogs and videos coming out that we all need to consume. I want to show you something that perhaps has been drowned out by all the Watches and Wonders noise. But, you know, it is too special not to mention that. So while Urwerk has never been a brand to release a traditional watch, you know, a conservative one, I think this time they really went all out there because they introduced a watch that I am sure Daenerys Targaryen would have absolutely loved. It's the Urwerk UR101 T-Rex. It is a mix between their Wandering Hour watch they launched in 1997 when they debuted their brand, and a watch similar they released in 2016 and 2021, I believe. They've got the very similar scale design you can see on the new T-Rex. It's a bronze case with a diameter of 41mm and a height of 11.9 at the thickest point. The case back is a black DLC steel case back that houses the crown to adjust the time. You simply have to slide this little black tab thingy at the top, and then you'll gain access to the crown, and that's how you set it. This article on A Blog to Watch, I also read about how the case shape apparently has also been inspired by the shape of the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. But I have to admit that was totally not on my radar when looking at this watch. Anyways, can't unsee it now. It is a limited edition timepiece with a price tag of 38,000 Swiss francs. Limited, I think it was 100 pieces, which, yeah, the price is about like $44,500 US. And I honestly am not sure what to say about this. I just knew that when I stumbled across it that I wanted it to show it to you guys. I always don't really want to say it, but it feels a bit gimmicky to me. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here, don't get me wrong. I just feel like this case is about to pop open and dispense some chewing gum or something. But I guess I'm just not very much in the target demographic for this one. But with most watches like this, there's a core group of people that is going to absolutely love this, and I'm more than happy to pay that price tag for it, and I love that for them. It is a conversation starter for sure. That is pretty much all I have for you today. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to watch more videos like that, make sure to subscribe to my channel to not miss out on any new episodes and videos about all things watches. And yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, and then I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.